before we go into the issues of how to drive safe and how to stay safe on the roads this season, especially as we get closer to the Christmas, let's talk about fuel scarcity, because we know the fuel is still scarce across Nigeria, in Abuja, in parts of Lagos. Lagos is easing up a little bit, but in other parts of the country, it's still a little scarce. Now, the problem is compounded with the refusal of some filling stations to sell products.
Now, some filling stations are also accused of selling above the approved depot and pump price. The federal government has given the Minister of Petroleum and the GMD of the NNPC to ensure that the scarcity doesn't last beyond this weekend. But how realistic is that matching order? Well, we have Tolulope Ogunjobi, our energy correspondent. Business correspondent also, to give us the latest developments. Good morning, Tolulope.
Good morning, man.
Okay.
Good morning, Tolu. It's nice to have you this morning.
Great to talk to you.
Yeah.
All right, so what is the situation? What can you tell us as at 7:28 a.m. this Friday? What is the situation with the fuel?
Well, as I thought for late yesterday, supplies have improved from the Apapa end to various filling stations across Lagos State, because that's the instruction of DPR that products should be distributed evenly, Lagos, Abuja, and also other bridging states. But more pressure should be put on Lagos and Abuja. So and that just started yesterday. So I believe that for some areas where there are still queues, noticeable queues, by today or the end of today, I believe that it should subside. Not talking about outside Lagos. Outside Lagos might be up to next week, because we are still expecting vessels, according to the NNPC and the marketers, they are expecting vessels at the ports, which when they berth, they will now transload into the tanks before they now start moving out. But the most important thing is that products need to come in quick. That's on the part of the NNPC, because if the depots exhaust what they have, that won't be too good at all. So that's why the depot owners are trying to be very, they are kind of crafty, represent the word. They are just not being straightforward about the issue, because they don't want to sell all that they have. They are just rolling it out bit by bit. But DPR is saying sell, products will come in. But they want to see the products in before they can sell all they have. But I know that for Lagos and some surrounding states around Lagos, they should be able to give a sign of relief by this weekend. Then maybe by next week, states outside Lagos would be able to also give a sign of relief with what we have on ground. But supply must be improved.
All right. Now, Tolu, we saw some marketers already took advantage of the a little brief scarcity by selling above pump price. What is being done about that? And is there any move to penalize any of the marketers who is involved with that kind of arrangement?
Of course. The DPR has really come out hard, because that's the regulator, and they've told them that anybody that has any proof that anybody is selling above pump price should come to them, and they will take action. But one thing remains important to note: it's because the product is not available. That is why people hurt. If the product is available, people will not hurt, because if it is not everywhere, you have their products everywhere. If you could remember, some months back, some stations were even selling at 142, 143, where there was enough products everywhere. Along the Korodu Road, along Badagry Express Road, some private stations were selling 142, 143, because they needed to let the product, they need to sell the products. Petrol evaporates, so they need to sell it out. So anybody that is selling above pump price is doing that at his or our own risk. If any of the agencies because the NNPC is bringing in products, nobody is bringing in products, so you can't claim the landing cost is more than what it's supposed to be. NNPC is paying to bridge this gap, so you can't just come and raise it above pump price or above ex-depot price. If anything like that happens, then you have to face the music. I won't really tell that there won't be sharp practices. For states outside Lagos, they even sell above pump price. Some are even used to buying above pump price because of the logistics, the issues they take before they even get the product down to their end. So that is where government also needs to come in. We can't sustain moving petroleum products on via road. It takes time. 3 days from Maiduguri, 4 days from Maiduguri, 5 days to go back. people are waiting for this product. So people will take advantage, and there could be kind of artificial hype if that continues.
Yeah, Tolulopo Ogunjobi, business correspondent there, giving us a situation report with the fuel scarcity situation that developed over the past week. Thankfully, it seems to be easing off somewhat, but in some areas, some are still taking advantage, of course, to hoard and, pay or sell above pump price.
Yesterday in Abuja, from the reports, when I made some calls to Abuja, as at 9 o'clock, some persons were still on queue yesterday.
That would be 9 p.m.
9 p.m. 9 p.m. And we hope that this directive is going to bring a difference to the whole situation. Exactly. Well, we'll keep in touch and follow all our bulletins for updates on the fuel situation. I know all of you are also following from where you live and where you are. Let's get into our other issue for the morning. Now, going anywhere this festive season, I know you have plans. Everyone has got plans. Then you need to be safe, and that should be paramount at the back of your mind.
Absolutely. Now, the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says 1,070 Nigerians died in road accidents in the third quarter of this year, 2017. Now, the NBS road transport data for third quarter 2017 released on its website on Wednesday showed that 89 out of the number were children, while 981 were adults. Now, that's really troubling. The breakdown of the figure showed that 815 of the number were males, while 255 were female.
Now, according to the report, 2,478 road accidents occurred in the third quarter. In addition, data on the category of vehicles involved in road accidents reflected that 58% of vehicles were commercial, while 40.6% were private and 1.4% were government-owned vehicles.
Very troubling statistics there by the NBS. And of course, when figures like this come out from the National Bureau of Statistics, you want to actually rely on them. Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Lagos Command, Hygienist Omeje, is in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Nice to see you.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
These figures from the NBS quite troubling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Third quarter of 2017.
You're very correct.
So 2,070 people?
You're very correct. National Bureau of Statistics, they have a wider, of course, you know that's will compass whatever police and this have given to them. And also comparing what FRSC have in their own data too. But like you said, it's worrisome. But we are not relenting. We refuse to be scared by all those figures. We keep on doing what we think can bring these figures down to the barest minimum. And that's why at this period, we are reaching out to all the nooks and crannies with our campaign. And now that people are going to travel for the festive period, let us not increase this figure further. Rather, let us do whatever we can do, even if just to leave it as it were. By the time the year runs over, we should be able to see what it translates to.
All right. Now, at this time of the year, where Christmas is just about maybe less than about 2 weeks away from here, at this time, do you carry out enforcement now, or you carry out the persuasive campaign of enlightenment still? Which one do you do at this time?
It's a combination of the two.
Okay.
As much as we step up our enlightenment campaign, I want you to note, Mike, that enlightenment alone without enforcement will just amount to mere entertainment. Nigerians will not just abide by what you said should do if you don't wield the big stick at times. So we're doing, taking the two side by side. We are enlightening people, but when we also get on the road, we also punish those who have violated what you've told them not to do in the motor parks. If you go out now early in the morning, you see our men on what we call park advocacy, going from one major motor park, where especially the interstate parks, to go and talk to the drivers before they leave the park.
How much difference is this making, especially this Yuletide season when many Nigerians, of course, will be on the road traveling home or, wherever? How effective is
The difference,
especially the park?
Exactly. Let me tell you how the park own is very, very effective. If you are in the bus, when the Federal Road Safety Corps officials will be talking to the driver, because they will not just isolate the driver and talk to him. They will wait for the passengers as the passengers are going in and the drivers are waiting for the passengers. That is the time they will be talking. So even the passengers are also hearing what they are saying. Okay. So which is nice, and we also encourage passengers that, look, as you are back to embark on this journey now, remember that road safety is a collective responsibility. So when we finish talking to you and you go on the road, keep your eye on the driver, especially the front seat passengers. Look at the speedometer from time to time, people to see what the speedometer is saying, so that you will now say, remember what road safety said in
Before you even get into the vehicle to check the speedometer, exactly. What are the things a passenger like myself, should be looking at before I board that vehicle?
Very good. The first thing is just take a holistic look at the vehicle, but paying more particular attention to the tires. At least from your look. If the tires are worn out, if it's already football, you are not seeing the tread. You are not seeing the tread. You already know that is. And there have been instances where if you also look at some tires bulging, already bulging. But our commercial fleet operators, because they are just more interested in the profit aspect of it, let him just manage the vehicle to go for this one trip. The issue is after this one trip, and that one trip might just be the last trip.
Exactly.
So you look at those things and you draw the attention of the park officials, not the driver this time around, because the driver will tell you that there's but the good thing about our parks is the organization of the NURTW, which is always very, very strong in the sense that if you draw the attention of the officials to things like that, they will also do something immediately. Yes. So you can do at least that physical look. You may not know how sound the engine is, but
we have heard drivers say, it's not about the body, it's the engine. The engine is strong. So forget about the body, it's the engine.
The body is also very important, but most importantly, the tire and the engine. The tire is the thing that has the contact between the vehicle and the road surface. So
but there's some tires that look brand new.
You see, sometimes some tires look good with all the threads still
the
there.
Threads are there, but they have gone. It could even be retread. But I'm just looking at, let us at least do the little we can do, little assessment we can do.
And all of that.
But the real thing is during the journey.
Okay. Now, but from your observation, which of the road signs or codes is most violated by drivers?
I think from what we have, and going by, because every month we collate all these kind of statistics, and when you are looking at the figures, you are also placing side by side what is the prevalent factor responsible for these crashes you had. As we speak, speed violations still tops the chart. In all this analysis I have done, or the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, speed violation is still #1. And that's because despite the concerted efforts of the Corps in ensuring that our commercial fleet operators install the speed limiting device.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's happened with the speed limiters?
Install the speed limiting device.
Yes.
We are yet to get to the level where you can see the overall effect manifesting, because the number that have installed cannot still go for purposes of say that you can't get that kind effect you need. It has been a gradual thing. The recession didn't help matters in the issue of the storage. We came up with it, and recession cut us, all of us up with it. These people did not budget for it. So we are going to see an improvement in the speed limit device enforcement next year, and in compliance rather, because the enforcement is still on, but the compliance. We're going to see
but the drivers are ready to comply,
because some companies have now known that they have to input it in their budget. Remember, we just started in February, so they now remember they have to put it in their budget. And yes, we have. In Lagos alone, from the last testing I did, we have about 33% compliance rate.
Okay. Is there any, speaking of this speed limiting devices, is there any kind of provision? I mean, you just talked about recession and how it's caught up with both the buyer and the seller.
and even the regulator.
And even the regulator. You know, I mean, are you making provision for people who really are genuinely interested in buying or installing these limiters to actually pay in installments? Is that a possibility?
Because we don't have power over that, because this is determined by the market forces. We are not, we didn't have any speed limiter anywhere. But do you know the cheering news?
Yeah.
That this, when we started the enforcement and the whole thing, all the speed limiters were being imported into the country. But today, as we speak, we have a company in Lagos here that is now producing the speed limiter, and that has brought the prices very, very cheap.
That's really good.
That's really good.
The commercial was so impressed. We have taken all the stakeholders on a tour of their factory to see what they are doing. They actually are assembling everything here, and that had made the cost. It brought the cost down significantly.
That's wonderful.
So,
I'm almost tempted to ask how much it is now. So I'm sure you will not even oblige us that information. But the Harmattan is here.
yes.
And Harmattan really does a lot of...
It has its own contributory effects too, especially in terms of visibility.
Yes.
Yes.
So what should the driver be doing? Not just the public driver, you know, private drivers.
All drivers.
All drivers.
Everybody, including,
including me.
Exactly.
I think the message and the slogan this period is that each time you are on the road, endeavor to make sure that you see and you are seen.
Okay.
You seeing is ensure that your own electricals, in terms of your front lights, they are all working. Not
and your indicators.
And not the one that your indicators, not the one that you cannot. But then the rear lights are also very, very important, so that the man following you is also seeing you.
But unfortunately, we do bumper-to-bumper driving here. So when you're so close to the person in front of you, how do you even see the rear light?
No. The issue is, look at I want you to take your mind to the driving on the highway now.
Okay.
You'll be going on the highway.
Not the one on traffic.
You are on top speed, and suddenly you notice that the vehicle, what you have in front of you is actually a trailer that is moving, so to say, but you did not know that. That's because the rear lights are not there, and that could pose a danger. We have had cases where people run into a moving trailer, because the trailer will just maybe is climbing or just crawling like that, and with the smoke. Then we also advise that at this period, people should check their vehicles very well so that they avoid excessive smoke. Because if you have excessive smoke to add to the Harmattan haze, then that will be complicating the problem.
Visibility will be
visibility
hampered.
will become so compromised.
All right. As we get along, we'll certainly be talking more about this, because there are other areas that drivers should take caution. But we have to drop you here right now. Hygienist Omeje is the Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Command or Safety Corps of Lagos State. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being with you.